Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Real Talk on WCOBM. I'm Melissa Wiggins, your host, and we have a very wonderful guest in the studio today. Her name is Ebony Manor. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you for making time in your schedule. Miss Ebony is the founder and also the owner of a program that is called Corners for Corners, Expanded Learning Program.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been in Vegas? Are you originally from here?
I guess, almost native. We moved here when I was 4 years old.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've been in and out of Vegas, and so for the last 30 something to 40 years.
Okay, well, give our viewers a little bit of your background since you've been in Vegas.
My background actually consists of a lot of education, mental health, and substance abuse, so behavioral issues. And so I actually grew up here, went to elementary school, middle school, high school. I did finally attend University of Phoenix, where I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in human services. So I started off as doing education, so still that toss up between both of those. And I ended up leaning more to human services because I felt that I could still educate in that realm, but I did also want to really impact the behavioral issues so within our community.
Why did you select that? What was going on? What did you observe that made you gravitate towards that type of work?
I had worked in a behavioral health company, and so dealt with substance abuse, mental health, crisis calls, and I found out that I loved it. So when the crisis call line rang, I was the first one running to it, and I really enjoyed being a kind of thrown out a lifesaver to some people who really needed it at that moment. And along with that, I would still try and educate them on the proper ways they should go. So I think a lot of it came from my experience, as well as my mother worked in a hospital setting, but she always gravitated to the people calling her with problems. So I guess I watched my mom a lot and ended up deciding to be more of a helper in whether it's education or in that area.
So you worked with the library. Are you still with the library right now?
I am not as a paid worker, but I do volunteer there because part of that backdrop with the library, I worked there for 12 years. Awesome place to work, but I worked there for 12 years, and with that I started off in programming. And what that meant was it was a scheduling specialist. We helped, I worked in the adult area where anyone wanting to use the rooms, or if we wanted to bring a particular program to the library that would benefit the community, I could do that. And then I gravitated and moved to the ESL. So it's always, again, it's still that tandem of working with the education end and also the community end. So with the library, I ended up being a scheduling specialist and started there, and it was a great company to work for.
And I think we actually have a couple of pictures, so if we could show
Sure.
clip number 2 and number 3. We'll have some images there of what that looks like when you're doing some organizing within the library.
Okay.
And you also worked with the Salvation Army, is that correct, with ex-felons?
That is, I worked at the Salvation Army, working with ex-felons, a lot of them with mental health issues as well. And when I worked there, I started understanding, especially when you're talking to people, you're getting to know who they are. You're not looking at what they did, but you're looking at who they are. And a lot of them shared with me, when I'm looking at trying to help, they were sharing with me how they weren't able to move forward due to their particular felony. So what I did was, I had a platform at the library, of course, still working there, was able to do a ex-felon fair. And at that point,
That's very interesting. What does that look like, an ex-felon fair?
It was a fair to see how we can get people started, to get them back on track and be able to admit to those black dots that's inside of that's on their records. I mean, there's no sense in hiding something that's there. So I incorporated some community organizations that could help them either with trying to expunge records or see how they can get things maybe worked in with their POs or meeting their probation officers or parole officers. years, helping them with getting back on their feet, getting skills, doing more than just saying, oh, here's my resume and this is a job that I've done. A lot of times they have a lot of skill sets that would actually help them and benefit them. So that was a huge success, more than what I thought it would be. I had over 200, close to 300 people that showed up for that event.
Are you still getting feedback from those people that went through those services, and what are they saying about it?
You know what? A lot of them, especially at the library, they remember that, because I think that was a strange program at the library to have. But I get a lot of feedback from some of the people that I do see, and that's really strange because I do see people out in the community, and I've met a couple of them who have gone on to still work at the hotels, still getting some additional skills, maybe at different organizations that they were connected to.
Okay, that sounds really, really wonderful. Talk about how you met Miss Cherie Cornell, who's the executive director and founder of the Real Talk Youth Impact Program.
Yes, I met Cherie at University of Phoenix. So she was my instructor several times. And she definitely did Real Talk in her classroom, which I loved. She's very direct, and when you're going through school, you really do want someone that's going to give you the real, that's going to encourage you in the field and let you know what's really going on, and she definitely was that. So as I went through University of Phoenix, about 2.5 years, I had Cherie as an instructor like 3 to 4 times. And then after that, I'm still working at the library district. All of a sudden, I run into her. She was looking for a space to use to get her Real Talk program up and started. So again, having the platform at the library district, we decided, the branch manager and I decided to go ahead and connect or do a collaboration with Real Talk, have them come to the library and use our facility to get started. And that happened for about a year.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, talk about the collaboration that you see, or the vision that you have with your skill set and your resources, and how you plan to utilize that within Real Talk.
With Real Talk, because of different experiences I've had, I've worked within the capacity of working with CPS or Child Protective Services. So having a hands-on as to the juvenile system, truancies, diversion courts, things like that. Knowing that backdrop and knowing parents and knowing that sometimes parents need extra help, I believe that Real Talk comes in to help parents, help the community to where that the children can actually get what they need. I find myself in that connector with Cherie because I'm right there supporting her. I want the same thing she wants. I want a better community. I want our children to be ready for careers, ready to work, ready for college or even entrepreneurship. And I do appreciate that Real Talk does all of that. It sets kids on a different, it sets them in a place where they can make good decisions. They have choices. And I'm not speaking about Real Talk just as a participator, as a supporter, but also as a parent whose my child has gone through Real Talk also and graduated.
Talk a little bit more about diversion court. I know what it is, and Cherie works very closely with the diversion court. But what is it? What goes on with diversion court, especially since you've had the opportunity to work through that system?
Well, the biggest thing that I saw in it is that helping the kids, we know that kids get into things, crimes happen, things are happening with them, but I do appreciate that there's an opportunity for the kids to be able to do something different other than going towards a sentence and going into a juvenile system, as far as going into a facility. So giving that opportunity to where you can make a different decision. And when the kids are going to those particular places, they may not show it, but they're extremely scared. They don't know what they want to, they're looking like this is the end. They're getting a lot of negative backdrop, which we know that happens. But then here comes the diversion court saying, okay, hey, you could go to this program. This could actually change the course of your life, and you could go a different way. And I appreciate that we have that opportunity and that there are kids that take that opportunity.
Have you actually had an opportunity to witness a Change One?
I have.
What were your thoughts on that?
I think I'm very involved in it, a lot more probably than a lot of people. I listen to the speakers. I love the realness coming from the volunteers. I really do. I appreciate their courage and their bravery to come and talk to the kids about what happened in their lives, and one experience, it just really, for me, just took me back when a gentleman had shared he had been in prison for so long that he was counting the coils that's in the bed above him in the bunk.
Oh my.
And that impacted my daughter as well. So we came home with the conversation. So it's a good conversation piece. The Change One meetings do change you, and not just the kids, but the adults, the parents.
I agree. Talk about Four Corners Expanded Learning Program.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you found it? How long has this been up and running?
This has been up and running. Four Corners Expanded Learning Program has been up and running since February of this year, of 2018. This has been a program in my mind since my children were little. So I appreciate the opportunity. What it is that I always wanted to do an after school, not daycare or Safe Key, but an outreach, a learning enrichment program that was going to set our kids above the rest. I believe in this country, in this city, that, our children have so much to offer. And yes, they get great things from the school district or whatever school that they go to. But a lot of times when kids are out of school, they want to just be kids. They want to be free. They want to be creative, and they want to let themselves be the innovators that we know they can be. And so with Four Corners, we started out doing, it's tutoring. So we do tutoring in a different way, though. We use rhythmic movement, definitely.
Okay, describe that. What is the rhythmic?
Rhythmic or kinesthetic movement it's not just kids just, okay, I'm just moving around. It's for a purpose. Studies show that there are brain activity, there's brain movement, things that are going on when kids are moving. So what we do is that they may be doing this with a basketball, football, they might be just doing a dance that's more exercising, but what they're doing is that they're moving, but we're also having them maybe go over their multiplication facts.
I see.
Maybe go over their sight words. Mm-hmm. Also, some of the things that we're doing with the higher levels with financial literacy or arts integration, maybe they're going over something that an idea that they can impact. So they're doing a lot more. So they might be playing together, throwing a ball to their partner, but as they're throwing a ball, they're giving suggestions as to an idea that they want to do.
When we spoke earlier, you talked about junior achievement. You talked about building their communication skills.
Yes.
So all of that is encompassed, and it's not just a tutoring program.
Yes, ma'am. It's not. It is a program called Beyond the Box, and with Beyond the Box, it is a public speaking. They get a chance to build their oral communication skills through public speaking. We are using the Toastmasters International, their junior program, which is called their Gavel program. So we're using that piece. We're doing junior achievement, their financial assistance or their financial literacy program. I absolutely love junior achievement because it is literacy of the budgeting on the personal end, but it's also opening the kids up for entrepreneurship as well as work readiness.
And where are you getting your kids from?
The community, people like you. So I would love to, right now we have I'm actually operating out of Reedham Elementary School and looking to do more elementary schools with the 5th graders. And I have a Saturday group that's mixture of, basically it's middle school, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving that they're coming out with smiles and they're like, oh, I really want to do public speaking or whatever it is. They are being innovative, and that's what I'm looking for. Our country needs that. Our city needs that.
Absolutely.
So we need our young people to be educated on finances so they know where and how to use their money. And we also want them to be creative. I want them to be creative, thinking out of the box, and that's something my daughter came up with, beyond the box.
Oh, wow.
Because we have that saying all the time, oh, let's think outside the box. But we're taking it, not just thinking outside the box, but taking that thought that came out of the box and taking it beyond.
What are the age groups of the kids that you service, and what qualifications might there be to participate?
The age group 10 years old through about 13, 14 years old. Qualifications, honestly, just to come. It's really just coming. I'm not, at this point, I have a literacy background, so I can tell when there's a child that's struggling in reading or comprehension or writing. However, that is not a deterrent. I want kids who may even be in special classes. If their parents are willing and they want them to come, I still want them to come, because that's part of our collaboration. We need to work together.
Does the program cost anything, or do you work with certain family units on cost?
Sure. The cost of the program, we estimated, trying to keep it very low. The cost of the program is, technically it's $25 per week, but I have the parents paying a monthly at the monthly end, because we do pay for books and equipment. But taking that into account, that I'm working off of the school district's schedule, so there are months where we may only go 2 times, like November or December, because we're going to have that break. But I would just recommend for anyone to just contact me, and if you have any questions, you need any assistance, you give me your story, I'll be more than happy to share anything with you, as well as even work with families.
I took a little bit of a picture clip off of your website that kind of outlines the program. If we can put that up, that's the very first video, or the very first picture clip. We want to take a look at that. Throw your contact information out there, just in case someone's interested.
Sure. My phone number, 702-292-0727, and you can reach me at any time. You can text if you'd like to. Texting works. And by some chance, if someone gets a hold of this and they speak a different language, text it in your language. That's no problem. We have Google Translate. Also, my website is the number 4, C as in Charles, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, P as in Paul.com. And again, that's 4CELP.com. I would love to hear from you. Definitely take a look at the website. And, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Also, my email is 4CELP1@gmail.com. So again, please contact me if you have any questions, and I'm open to hear any comments also.
Wonderful information to share with the community, and I so appreciate your time, Ebony, to be here today.
Thank you, Melissa.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome.